Welcome to the RVY podcast. I'm delighted to have my brother here, my brother Kurt Kubicek.
Hello, thank you for
Please
having
tell
me.
me. Please tell me I said the name right.
Perfect.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
well
you.
done.
Thank you,
yeah,
sir.
it's not
It-
all the time that people could do that. So
So I wanted
thank you.
to first say that you are the very first filmmaker that we were able to get on our show. So
Yes.
I'm happy to have that because, of course, my direction is film as well. We actually met when I was like in a space where I was trying to figure out my life. I was
It's a little over a couple years ago.
a couple years ago, maybe about, what was it,
19.
2-3 years ago? Two?
Yeah.
So I got my degree in accounting, right, undergrad.
I remember you telling me.
I came out
Yeah.
here, yeah, right. So I came out here for grad school for business taxation at USC, which I should have done the film program, but I didn't. So a couple years later, I found out that I really wanted to dive deeper into film, and I found myself at New York Film Academy looking to enroll. And as I was, kind of going through the steps with the rest of the prospective students, I ended up meeting this great guy who just served as a mentor right out the gate. He was giving us game like right out the gate. Like, look, this is how you do it. This is how you get started in film. And of course, some of us in that group were a bit stubborn. But Kurt, you started out giving me so much information from there, and I think over the course of the last 2 years, we've stayed in contact.
Yeah.
And we've been able to kind of meet up and talk about film and different things.
Your projects and
my-
the things you're pursuing.
Yes, and
so-
then I've also got the chance to look at some of your projects. So I thought that was really cool, man. But I want our audience to really get to know who you are, man, because from what I know, you're a really great guy.
Thanks, man.
So who is Kurt Kubicek?
Well, I'm born and raised in the suburbs of Chicago, so
Yeah.
I'm from the Midwest. If you haven't, you're going to hear it in my accent. It's just it's a part of me. But no, man. At the end of the day, I'm passionate and driven and very similar things to you. I was lucky enough to kind of get tapped on the shoulder, probably. Over a decade now. But after I was already a PGA golf teacher for a couple of years and played college golf. Actually.
PGA golf.
Yeah, a golf teacher. Yeah. So I helped manage a golf course and gave lessons. And
Okay, so you're like the master golf guy. It's like
I still
that's
teach
different.
lessons occasionally. To friends.
I might need to go with you sometime.
Yeah,
soon.
dude, if you want to get into the game, it's a great game, man. So that was the former life. You know what I
Okay.
mean? I was an athlete, though. I played hoops, and that was my whole jam was like a point guard shooter. And
Whoa,
yeah,
I can see that.
Yeah, dude.
We gotta
That's
play sometime, man.
serious. Yeah, I was recruited like D2, D3.
It doesn't matter. I'm not like a star basketball.
Oh
player
no,
at
but
all,
it was life. Like
yeah,
it was.
ball was life.
Yeah. It was what was before film.
Oh really?
Ultimately,
Yeah.
it turned into golf, but golf was serendipitous. That just kind of ultimately found a weird way of, but the actual dedication
Yeah.
and the drive and the
Yeah.
hours and the stuff that I am
Yeah.
now.
All
that
came from there.
Yeah, like got kick-started again, and you were
Wow.
like, oh, wow, actually, I've always been that guy. I was that guy when I was 8, when I was 10, watching Michael.
Yeah.
Got to see every game, MJ.
So that
and-
determination started early on. Yeah.
yeah, man, it was just for the love of the game. You
That's
got
what's up.
that hit
Yeah.
of excitement and drive and adrenaline. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah,
From making a move and a drive to a layup when you're this tall.
Yeah.
But making that move on that kid,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, on that park that rec park league
Yeah.
or whatever. That was got it then, and you know what I mean, and then it kind of found its way back into my world. But
Okay.
ultimately, being an athlete was a huge part, I think, of why I love collaboration. And
Yeah. I think that helps a lot of people. Like I started off in football. Of course.
I couldn't tell at all.
Oh, that's yeah, not like that. Not a huge linebacker type football, but actually I did play linebacker in high school.
You totally, yeah, dude. You're probably 200 pounds. You could be a linebacker.
Yeah, But yeah, I don't see myself as that big a dude. You know,
Well,
it's
you're a humble mind doesn't mean objectively what's actually,
yeah. You know, because that's maybe it's because I know a lot of huge guys, and I'm
Oh
like,
yeah, you're like,
yeah, I
oh, I'm
always compare
small
my,
compared to that
yeah, you
six
know,
five,
so
250 dude.
exactly.
Yeah,
So like, you're from Chicago. It's funny because Chicago's our cousin city, right?
right. You're Detroit.
Detroit,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yes, exactly.
That's really cool, man. So you, like many of us, man, you came out here chasing the dream, yeah.
Yeah.
But was this your first stop along the way, or like, did,
I ultimately, I had some friends in Arizona, but I did actually I did end up spending some time in Arizona, but ultimately I was in Orange County at one point, and then Arizona, and then I ultimately was in Long Beach. Love Long Beach. I lived there for a little bit,
Okay.
and then I was on. I went and actually went to New York Film Academy for a little while, did that, and then got a documentary in Arizona that I
Yeah.
was on for a while, and
Yeah.
some shorts and
That's
stuff like
nice.
that.
That's nice.
And ultimately, so I've had my stops, and then in the gut of Hollywood, in 2017, and now I've been in like Glendale.
Hey,
But
right there.
yeah,
Hey.
but came, you know what I mean. Ultimately, that wasn't the first stop, but it was Southern California was always kind of something for me, who always loved films, loved music even as a kid.
Nice.
But seeing most of those movies, especially in my generation, the Back to the Futures and the radio, the
Yeah,
Spielberg epic blockbusters and
yeah,
stuff. A lot of these films, right, especially like the high school movies or whatever, kid movies, are shot in California.
yeah,
So you see that, you know what I mean? Born and raised in the Midwest, where
yeah,
we
yeah,
got
yeah,
gray all over the place and
yeah,
tons of mediocre weather.
yeah. So all you have to do is sit inside and watch movies.
Right.
Yeah,
And you see, you know what I mean, the weather and it, man, you
yeah.
know what I mean.
Oh
You
man,
saw it.
I miss those
It was
days
a
though.
whole world away,
Yeah,
rather than realizing when you get the courage, you
yeah,
know what I mean, to
yeah.
go after, and
Y-
you're
y-
like, let's go see what it's like.
Yeah, I think that's why a lot of people end up here though, because of the weather and how things are over there, right? And then also why it's such a shock when you get here. You know how different things are here versus in say Detroit or Chicago. How different was it for you, like making that transition?
Man, it's for me. It's a different kind of fast.
Yeah,
It is faster
yeah,
than
a lot faster.
Chicago. Yeah, and where I kind of grew up. So, and it's just a slightly different mindset. You know what I mean? Like from the Midwest culture
Yeah.
of their value system and
Oh
principles and
yeah, completely.
yes.
I know.
So even though so that was a big thing. You know what I mean? I came out a lot probably kinder and more
Oh
patient
yeah,
and
yeah.
green
Uh-huh.
than I am now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh
Um,
yeah. I know. That's all of us. You know, these years out here have been crazy, man. But they groom you very well. I can say that much.
it's part of growing up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
part of the process.
yeah.
Yeah. So, do you think it's a little any different when you go back now?
Yeah, I mean completely. Yeah, I mean you're still, because the people you love or the people who might have, which a lot of my family has stayed around the Chicagoland area. I mean
Yeah.
it's a great city, right? If
Yeah.
whatever job and there's work and you're within an hour, there's always stuff to do. And but I was attracted to obviously more sunshine and
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
most importantly entertainment. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah,
That
definitely.
was that was where it was like, oh my gosh, I remember first coming to Los Angeles, and that was what was so tough about 2020 and not being able to do the things besides the weather that I
Yeah.
love about LA, which is like
The beach.
every night of the week there is something to do. There's
Yes.
a party, there's an art show,
Yes.
there is a premiere,
Yes.
there is something if you
Yeah, if you're
have
looking
friends
for it.
in, yeah, exactly, in
Anything you're
this
looking
position.
for is there.
Yep.
That's one thing I love about
Exactly.
this city.
And there's the beach and the mountains, of
Yeah.
course. But the fact that there was live entertainment, live music, live comedy every night of the week.
It's funny that you mentioned the mountains because, like, some people just mention the palm trees, and like it's a whole different perspective, I guess. Because like over there, it's kind of flat, right? And like Chicago and Detroit, pretty
Yep.
much flat. So I remember my first time coming out to California, and we were like, one of the first times. Like the first time I came out, we flew, right? The second time I came out was my brother's wedding in 2009, and we drove. And I remember like the flat land turning into mountains, and it was just so beautiful, man.
Yeah.
I think people take that for granted, just the things that are so beautiful about this place. Because of course people live here most of their lives, so it's just normal to them. But like that was what it was a shocking thing when I first got here.
It's still awesome.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
still like going home and visiting, and then you know what I
Coming
mean.
back, yeah.
Whatever, having friends visit you.
Yeah.
And it really is, and beyond that, like LA is one of the strangest places in the world. Like if you've gone
Yeah.
to many countries, I've only been to like 6-7 countries, but
Yeah.
that's enough to make me realize like LA is a city of its
own, yeah.
Wow.
World of its own.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Next to whatever Amsterdam or Barcelona,
Yeah.
or you know what I mean,
Yeah.
London. I mean, whoa, it's its own jam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's go back to, I remember you just mentioned Spielberg. I was going to ask you about your influences as a filmmaker. Where did you really start with that?
I mean, you've got. I mean, as a kid, you've got always those Spielberg type of films.
Yeah.
I mean, I loved obviously even the horror like Michael Myers, Jason,
I was gonna
Nightmare on Elm
mention
Street. Those were great.
Yeah.
And then obviously it went into more of the movies of. Blair Witch and
Yeah.
Screams, and there was some great stuff. You know what I mean?
So
that
you
kind
really like horror.
I mean, I
That's your thing.
it was as a kid, you know what I mean? Like,
I miss those too.
I don't know. For me, like it was always scary that it was possible, but you also
Yeah.
knew it was fake, so it was
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
Even then, and but like no, I mean this films that I couldn't get enough of were obviously, like Back to the Future and
Yeah.
the Raiders of the Lost Ark, Jurassic Park. I remember being,
Yeah.
stoked as a kid with Jurassic Park. I was like, Mom, you're taking me to the midnight showing, and like I'm going to McDonald's and getting the cups.
Yep.
And like
The
I
cups and
was
the little toys and
dude,
everything. Yeah.
the real deal.
Yeah,
and
man.
and it was a whole big experience.
That was a good time too, when you could go to McDonald's and get those little Happy Meals, and there was just everything that you wanted.
Collectibles.
Yeah, oh my God, that was such a good time, man. And you mentioned like Michael Myers is funny because like every time I think of like the Midwest, my favorite season is fall. So every time you watch Halloween, what season is it?
It's
So
it's
it
the
reminds
fall.
me of the Midwest because of the changing of the leaves, and that's just one of my favorite seasons ever, man.
It's pretty beautiful.
Oh yeah, very, very much. So Steven Spielberg is one. How many other people would you say you were influenced by growing up?
I mean, like I said, then it went into when I actually like started to loving movies and paying attention to who was directing the films, and
Yeah.
when I really took an interest in. But I mean, at least in my career, you've got huge influences of Paul Thomas Anderson
Yeah.
and Federico Fellini,
Yeah.
Frank Darabont. Shawshank Redemption, I think, is one of the greatest
Yeah.
movies
I
of
love
all
that
time.
movie.
Yeah, one of the biggest inspirations. Film like Magnolia that Paul Thomas Anderson did, starring Tom Cruise. These were films that just like struck me about like how the power of storytelling. When I actually started looking at life through the lens,
Yeah.
you know what I mean,
Yeah.
in really paying attention to other people. I think that's understanding the nuances of individuals, and when you meet people, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I probably, even when we met,
Yeah.
I asked you probably plenty of questions.
Yeah,
Because if I find a little bit of interest, you had your passion, you had been from Detroit, you had,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
okay, well, tell me,
Your
whether it's
story.
the actor, writer, filmmaker in me, like I always am interested in genuine listening
Yeah, which is why I'm doing this.
to people's stories.
Yeah,
Yes,
man. Yeah,
exactly.
this podcast has allowed me to do just that. Everybody who comes on here gets to share something unique with me. And a lot of the times when I'm talking to somebody and they're sharing their life, I get some inspiration. So as a writer, sometimes that helps me fill in certain blanks. Have you had that same type of effect from people, like? To where,
Yeah, I mean, I think experiencing certain kind of individuals or people in your life, you know what I mean, are
Yeah.
gonna have, I mean, before I was married, I had a very bizarre group of friends as a single man of all different ages, and because those perspectives are so important when
Yeah.
you realize that everybody has
something.
yeah, like a tuning fork to some kind of perspective or skill or,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mindset.
Yeah.
Hence why you work with so many different kind of
Yeah,
people
yeah.
in entertainment.
Yes, sir.
They have their own kind of gift.
Yes.
And people every single person, arts or not arts, have a special gift about them.
That is true.
If you just sit down and talk to everybody for probably like 30 minutes, some people less, but like you can find out there's this wonderful kind of uniqueness in everybody. So when you, I don't know, get that disease that I have, where I know everybody has a story and everybody has a dream and a plight and hurt and pain, then it starts to matter a little bit more.
That's a beautiful disease to have. I'm gonna say it really is, man, because I mean it allows you to connect with people too. Like, and sometimes I find that to be like one of the best parts about life, just being able to connect with other people around you. So if your disease is to make you do that, boy, that's the best sickness you can have, man.
Yes, it's got its perks, but I mean it's also the interest and as you know the genuine interest is tough to find from anyone these days.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, the podcast is great, especially because that's what we're here, to really talk and discuss.
Yeah.
But like in general conversation, a lot of people, because of the fast pace of life, we sometimes even take the people who are our friends for granted, and there's not genuine interest. Right?
Yeah.
In,
that's,
hey man, like,
that's
how was
so
your
West
day?
Coast.
It's like, and it's good. Yeah,
Yeah.
great. But, even some of your friends at the right time of the day don't really want to hear how your day went, which is weird being from the Midwest. Or at least
it's a little different. I remember in my very first podcast was like a Detroit podcast, right? So we had like a bunch of artists come from different backgrounds. One was a musician, that's Pac-Man. The other was Jordan L. He's a rapper, and the other was a comedian, and Darius Bennett. So all of us are from Detroit, and one of the things that we all agreed on was just about the genuine relationships that you have in Detroit. People are very genuine, and they will definitely tell you off plain as it is,
They're direct.
Yeah,
I
very,
mean, especially
very direct, and that's the thing I miss and I enjoy. Like,
good or bad news.
Yeah, good.
It's the truth.
Exactly.
That's what's great.
That's all you need.
It's refreshing, right?
That's all you need in life.
Man.
Look, tell it to me straight, and those are the type of people you want to keep around you. Just keep it real throughout the whole process.
It's not that I don't like you. I just think that is not really your best move,
Right.
or maybe the best thing for and you find those people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot more. I mean, it's just strange. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
how outspoken those people are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In those circles, I guess, in the Midwest.
That's true.
At least when you're younger.
True.
Yeah.
So I believe I read that you've been in film for over 8 years now.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I think about a decade. Yeah.
Okay. So what do you enjoy doing most? Because I know that you are a director, a producer, a writer, and an actor.
Yes.
What do you enjoy doing the most?
Directing, for sure.
Directing?
Yeah, directing is just fantastic to be able to like work with a writer, work with other producers, work with great actors, and really be able to tell a story. I mean, obviously I love and prefer to, tell my own or co-write, but the last few years I've actually been directing other people's scripts and other people's stories. So it's just such a great process because there's so many different things you get to be involved in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
you get to watch everybody.
Yeah.
If you, it's a delicate balance, but as long as you respect the people you hire and watch them flourish and succeed, you know what I mean? It's pretty exciting. You know what I mean? And that ultimately instills them and builds relationships for, but every aspect from your gaffer to your sound mixer in the end, or your editor, or your colorist, all those different kind of layers, are so fun to work with different kinds of people. And I think that directing is that whole thing from story all the way into the process. You know what I mean?
Okay, so I'm new at this, right? I just directed my first short back in January.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
It's very exciting.
And I think one of the hardest things about getting into it was demystifying it, because it was so different. the idea of doing it was like great. I'm like, okay, I have the confidence to get there eventually, but I'm still somewhat scared. So a friend of mine, like, I was just telling him, I was like, or I was asking, I was like, so how do I get around to doing it? He was like, you have to develop film courage, right? So for me, film courage, I guess, comes from the act of doing, right? You just have to get out there and do it. But how would you say, like, for people who don't understand it, what is it about being a director? How would you help them step into that role?
That's a good question. Ultimately, I think that somebody who either, I mean, from the root of it all, right? Even if it's with like their closest friends, is an elaborate storyteller, right?
Yeah.
They tell stories, even if it's just to their closest people. That's where it's going to begin. Obviously, like you said, when you start to break it down of like telling a story with images, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
24 frames per second, and then ultimately dialogue, you know what I mean? Then with obviously Aristotle's
Yeah.
rules,
Poetics,
yes,
yeah.
poetics, and how story works, and that's its own thing. But I think like for the director, I think at the end of the day, you have to be able to want to tell a story, right, that involves other people. And it's going to have to take a little bit of decisiveness, and it's going to have to take your own courage to believe in something so much, right?
That's true.
That's what's awesome. You believe in it so much that you're looking at people and being like, okay, cool. Like this is the tone and mood, and this is how I'm lighting it,
Yeah.
and how I feel like, and I want to use these two lenses for the scene and how we're gonna,
Yeah.
and you're talking to the right people,
Yeah.
and then they're gonna take that and then make a little bit, just do their job,
Yeah.
into your magic,
Yeah.
and you're like,
So
wow,
it's
okay.
a collaborative thing.
Right, exactly. But you have to start there. I think it was
Yeah.
Tarantino, which Tarantino is a big influence
love
as always.
Tarantino.
Who isn't?
I love Tarantino.
And
Man.
Quentin, he says that your job is to just actually articulate your vision.
Right on.
Your job is to actually know exactly what everything and how it looks and how it sounds, and then to be able to tell these amazing, hopefully you hired some great people, and then but that's your most important job, is to know your story, and then be able to, and that's the fun part, and that's not easy for, I think, everybody. Just anything from public speaking to certain skill sets you have.
Yes.
But I will always say that I think most actors who want to be challenged are eventually going to want to write and tell their stories.
That's true.
Hence all these incredible production companies that Brad Pitt and Damon and Jolie and everybody, right?
Yeah.
I mean, name everybody. What's his name's got a huge company. Jordan Peele. Yeah. Huge
Monkey
company.
Paw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Monkey Paw. Yeah. I know people who work over there. Like, right? I mean, everybody goes from, I mean, starting from writing, acting,
Yeah.
into I'm a storyteller, right?
Right
I
on.
mean, I think
Yeah.
that, because I think we all are at the end of the day.
Naturally.
But when we get the courage and the abilities,
That's
especially, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then everybody's going to want to, right? I mean,
Yeah.
eventually, but speaking of the oldest storyteller, I was joking with a guy at a picnic the other day about Clint Eastwood. And I was like, all things aside, whether or not you like his movies or like him, I was like, the guy's been making movies for like over 60 years.
Right.
He's maybe going to make another movie, and he's 90, right?
Yeah.
Like close to 90 years old, if not 90. And
He's-
it's like, thank you. What a life.
Yeah.
I would
That's-
go.
That's how
it
I
would
want to go out.
be
Like,
wonderful
Yeah.
to actually continue to work,
Yeah.
want to work, have the faculties to work,
At
and be
90.
respected.
at 90.
How about just 75 to 85?
Right.
That'd be great.
Right. Right. But
And he's
90.
still respected enough, wildly, and that is able to is unbelievable.
That's
You
a
know what I
beautiful
mean?
thing. Yeah.
But what a dream that would be. But that, I'm sure it's, once again, just he wants to continue to keep rocking out.
That's
you know?
true. So let's go down the line then. Because when people are, say, in the Midwest, when you grow up in the Midwest and you're hearing about film from so far,
Yeah.
of course, before, because now it's starting to spread out a little more.
Yeah.
But the first thing you think about is the director's seat. But, because you think that's the biggest seat. You think it's the hardest job possible. But then there's the producer.
Mm-hmm.
I've just recently learned about how much how much goes into producing.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that in some cases, the producer gets paid more,
Yep.
more than the director. So, tell us about that process a little bit.
I mean, like
as a film
you,
producer?
I started wanting to become a filmmaker, and I had to learn how to produce.
Yeah.
You have to learn one of the producing jobs. I
Yeah.
think everything needs like 2 or 3 producers
Yeah.
because there are different types of producers, even at the smallest short film, no budget, right?
Yeah.
Like you're still going to want probably I mean, but there are people out there who are able to wear all these hats. I've
Yeah.
met them, and God bless them. But I've got a very good friend of mine, a guy named Cass Russell, who's just powerful producer, line producer. He's worked everything from, films and kids' TV shows, and now works for, is killing at a big company, UPM line producer stuff.
Yeah.
And you always knew he was going to develop into that.
Yeah.
I knew that, and I've known him for 5-6 years, and he's just really doing great. But like he now is done exactly what I thought, and I wouldn't try to do a production probably without him, because he has a skill set that is really great. That is not so much my skill set as a producer. And
Yeah.
then I have other close
People,
friend
yeah.
producers that are going to bring a different. Because for me, my producing is the best to be like, okay, how can we take the money we have and do great things with it?
Yeah.
But also, how do we hire the best people possible within this?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's the
And let's
thing.
A plus B equals C. But besides that, I need everybody to then go there, because
Yeah.
I'm really then just creative.
Hey, there it is.
I as long as but I've worked with other directors, and then I'll just come in and
Got
work with them on the script, and work with them on the budget, and work with them on hiring, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I love other storytellers as well. I'm able to step back if I really enjoy the work.
So that's such a huge part of the process that would you suggest that people start there to kind of just learn the producing before going into the other, or for those people who like to specialize in certain things and like maybe want to just only do directing, what would you suggest?
I mean, the producer, if you only wanted to kind of be a producer, it's a very interesting route, and it's a little bit more business route of the film industry, rather than if you wanted to be the filmmaker or
Yeah.
the writer. Like,
Yeah.
like I wouldn't say that it's a necessary evil, but you will find out about it eventually.
Yeah.
If you're going to write
You
and
got
direct,
to
you're
eventually.
going to. Yeah.
If your passion grows in this area, then
Yeah,
yes.
you're going to ultimately, at least at the beginning, everybody had to, I think, help produce their projects.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Unless they came out of the gate, you know what I mean? Writing incredible screenplays.
Yeah.
And those writers then
See,
go
all
on
those
to be
names
directors.
in the credit. That's
Yeah.
all me. It's just like Amar.
Yeah.
No, I mean I don't really want it to be that way, but I think everybody would start somewhere in that area to where you're going to see your own name a couple times in the beginning.
At the beginning projects?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I had to do like second unit camera on the first feature that came out that I did, right? I've got a credit for second unit camera. Like, so sometimes you have to jump in there and, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that. I mean, depending on at the beginning, you know what I mean? You have to wear every hat possible. And then on certain projects, you have to, ultimately, depending on if it's financed by a bigger company or studio, or if it's financed by you or people or private investing, that's how much of your guts kind of like go into it. Because as it gets more comfortable, it's obviously much nicer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you have really great people and you're able to really focus on the actors on the day, and you have an AD that's just killing the game and
Yes.
keeping right. I mean, that's another incredible job that is like a kind of sort of producer, but
Pretty much.
yeah,
Taking order directions from both the director and the producer for the most
yeah,
part. So,
yeah. Those people are. You meet a
Lifesavers.
lot of them that are above average to good, but there are very few that are great.
Yeah.
That's a tough job
Of the
to
ADs?
be really great at. Yeah,
Oh, that's interesting.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, because its own machine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As the sets get bigger. You
Got
know
it,
what I mean?
got it,
From
got it.
15 to 25 to 50 to 100 people.
Yeah.
On set and how it runs.
Yeah.
So that the storyteller can just kind of focus. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it is in his own headspace.
Okay, so let's get into the next one, writing.
Yeah.
So as a writer, or how would you say you got your start in film? Did you start by writing your own?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't even have a script program, and just like tried to make
Do
it
it
out by
yourself? Yeah, that's
on a
smart.
Word document.
Yeah. I did that
Dialogue.
too.
This is what's going on. dialogue, right? And the
Yeah.
little bits that you've seen and you
Oh my
researched.
God, it was so terrible in the beginning.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that was it. Yeah, you had a story to tell.
Yeah.
Right. That I think that's how it all started, was going, okay, well, I've got a story to tell. And I had always been a writer
Yeah.
in high school. I
What'd you
had
start
honors
with?
English.
Okay.
So that was the only honors class I
Okay.
was in high school, was writing in English.
Were you going with like maybe like poetry, story, or like what were you doing?
I
Back
was
then?
doing, yeah, I was writing poetry. I was
That's where
writing
I started.
songs. I was writing short stories, and I was a
Nice.
huge reader.
Nice.
So
Oh,
I
that's
mean,
great.
and I was crazy into girls, and you know what I mean. I was a teenager. You had a lot of you had a lot of I mean, you
Yeah.
were starting to pay attention. I was less focused on basketball and started to get interested in girls. But I loved writing. So I mean, and from musical lyrics to, which is, so that's when you started as well. Like, was high
Oh, it was
schoolish.
poetry. I
Yeah.
started writing poetry in high school, maybe like 11th grade. Actually, no, that was the first one I remember writing that I actually liked.
Okay.
The ones before it, I was like getting everybody else's opinion, and I was kind of scared to allow other people to see it. It was like love poems and things like that. I think I was maybe in the 9th or 10th grade. I showed my brother one of them, and it was just so lovey, you know. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Teenager
yeah,
stuff.
teenager
Oh,
stuff, man.
man, it was all so real and
Yeah,
heavy and important.
yeah. So
It was
it
great.
started there, and then it transitioned to actually live performances in college.
Cool.
So in high school, didn't have the confidence to do it. In college, I broke out of that and started like doing live performances for like at friends' shows, and then started doing my own shows and things.
Awesome.
And then somewhere along the line, I started rapping. So I had some friends in college who were rappers, and I just seemed to fit into that mold. Like every time people would be chilling and like freestyling, I'd end up in the room, somehow randomly, and it's just going on. I may have just walked by and I heard it, and I just step into the room and I'm freestyling.
And you were
But
just freestyling.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
In the moment.
we're
Awesome.
just enjoying it. And then eventually, I think during my senior year, I wrote my first episode of this terrible series. It was so bad.
Yeah. What
It
was what was the log line?
I didn't have one. I didn't have one. It was so bad, bro. Like I don't even. She knows. I know I'm not supposed to talk off camera, but she knows how bad it was. Oh man, because I remember when I first moved out here, I had this script. I had like maybe 3 episodes of this thing, and it was a monstrosity. I wouldn't go back and read it today, but but I think it was very great to start with, because I was again one of those writers who was I was just passionate at writing. I found that was the thing that I was best at, and eventually I started creating stories and learning how to create scripts, how to write scripts, and that was, I think, the best thing that had happened to me, man. Because I remember just before I graduated college as well, I had a whole cast together, right? I wish I had kept going. I wish I had kept going, man. I had a cast. We were getting ready to shoot, and then the DP pulled out. I don't think he ever really knew anything about film. I think he just had a camera, and I thought he was gonna be able to do it.
Hey, sometimes that's the DP, right?
Yeah.
Oh, when you're starting, dude, I'm sure. Oh
Yeah.
man.
Oh man, it was a good time though. I think writing is a very scary process for some people, but it's also liberating. So like if you can get through like the fear of actually being great,
You can't. The hardest part is the first draft or whatever you're writing.
Yeah.
You can't edit yourself. You got to really just like let go
Yeah.
and for a screenplay, obviously you got to do hopefully a little prep. Some guys just go through the gun and they've got a opening and an ending and they go crazy, or
Yeah.
they've got a character and that's enough.
Yeah.
Other guys outline everything and
Yeah.
we'll beat it out.
Yeah.
Like Save the Cat stuff. And,
Save the Cats.
yeah,
It's a great tool.
Yeah, absolutely. But
Story, Robert McKee.
yeah, you got it. I mean, you can do things, and that's going to be a lot of people. You know what I mean? In the way that. But then there's enigmatic storytellers that are able to find their way. You know what I mean? And they have the voice on the page. I mean, I read several scripts a week,
Nice.
and
I gotta
from
get more
all
like
different
you.
levels. You know what I mean? And I have some friends that are very talented. My buddy Joe Russo's a guy on the Writers Guild, and he's got
Nice.
a film that he's got coming out. Got a couple, at least 2 or 3 movies coming out this next year.
Nice.
He's having a lot of success. So I've been able to go as a close friend and collaborator. Sometimes seeing his journey and how hard he works is pretty awesome. And watching him go from like, pretty good to wow, this is awesome.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To sales, to managers, agents, the whole deal.
Nice.
And it shows. You know what I mean? It's just like, I think he started getting attention after whatever, at least the 6th to 8th script. You know what I mean? And then the stuff that really was, amazing and his voice and powerful was probably around the 10th.
Yeah.
And now it's just, he's a real, kind of making it in Hollywood writer. So,
Nice.
So I kind of seen that, all that hard work and what that takes. So it's interesting to meet guys who really want to be writers, because writer directors are a little different because they might just be writing for their films.
Yeah.
And that's 50% of them.
Yeah.
Other guys will be able to just write, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just sometimes direct and produce and do that.
Yeah.
And other guys just like write and then will eventually kind of direct, and they're just crazy writers.
Yeah.
I know a couple of guys, that's all they do is write screenplays.
Yeah.
They don't do anything else. So,
go ahead.
I think that is the biggest key is that I think we spoke about it off camera earlier about having the bandwidth of how you direct it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Direct your energy.
Yeah.
Because as you know, there's a huge difference between good and great in Los Angeles,
Yes,
and in entertainment.
Yes,
there's
indeed, there is.
tons of people that are good, that are entertaining, right?
Yeah.
Tons of people that'll be funny for 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In a comedy set, or, and there's people who will just light fire to the crowd for 10 to 15 minutes.
That's
you know
right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and you're like, oh, wow, they always do that. And you're like, because they're that good. You know what I mean? And most of the time they have put in crazy amounts
of work,
of effort. We both know. I'll give a shout out to Malik B.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. That's one.
Yeah.
You were at a comedy show a couple days ago,
Malik,
right?
yeah, I was at the Jungle House Comedy Show.
There was a comedian. You gave him a shout out, and I actually met him in a writer's room. Nate. Yeah.
You know Nate?
I met Nate in the
Nate's
writer's room.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good friend of mine. He's a very funny guy, working his tail off from Louisiana.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
I met him in a writer's room. Someone asked me to actually read a role, and he was there at the same time. So that was
Awesome.
really cool.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. I mean, he's a comedian writer, and like it's So, but that's the whole thing, is that that's the thing. You know what I mean? Whether it's a podcast, whether it's your films, as soon as that thing goes, from good to great, depending on your project, that's where like stuff starts to set fire and really get going for you. And
let's talk about your work ethic here, man. You've produced a few great projects. Let's get into those real quick. One of them, I recall, you did something with Jamie Kennedy, right?
Yeah, I got a cool opportunity to produce and direct a comedy special with Jamie Kennedy, and which was awesome because growing up, I saw him a lot in films and knew of him from the Scream films.
I'm thinking of one line.
Malibu's Most Wanted,
Yes.
and I mean, B-Rad's ridiculous.
Right.
So he's great, man, and what's the line?
Hold on. The movie theater. I don't want to repeat it.
Okay. Fair enough. But no, Jamie but he's another guy that was a very interesting guy to learn his work ethic and how he went about his comedy, and also going in the industry, and, because he still acts in television, and, you know what I mean, and occasionally in films and stuff. He's got a film coming out Friday with Jeremy Piven and
nice.
Taryn Manning, I think, and it's shot in Philadelphia. Pretty neat little cast, and so I don't know. He's still doing his thing, but the coolest thing was Jamie got to really go to a lot of shows and see his process and meet a lot of the big comedians around town. And once again, the coolest part is realizing how hard these guys work.
Yeah.
This is the reality of it. Is they're very focused, and they're pretty good at time management, and they've worked that hard,
key.
and they continue to work that hard, and roll the dice on themselves.
And that's why they're so successful.
Yes.
So we can just, of course, take from that and apply it to our own things, man. So here we go. You did that with Jamie Kennedy. You've also produced or worked on a feature, right?
Yeah, I produced a feature in Central America. You talking about? Yeah,
yeah.
the film Un Regalo Esencial. Yeah, that filmmaker just premiered another film down there.
Nice.
It's doing pretty well. So, that was a cool experience to go to a different country.
Yeah, I
My
bet.
wife's Costa Rican.
Oh, nice.
So that's...
You guys were in Costa Rica.
my wife's from Costa Rica.
she's from
yeah,
Costa
yeah,
Rica.
yeah.
Okay.
She's So
So you guys just enjoyed the trip all together.
I mean, her family lives there,
Oh,
so her
okay.
family's there. But I serendipitously met this filmmaker from Costa Rica,
Oh, nice.
and ultimately, got to ultimately be in the project. He had like a short film, and then wanted to do a feature, and I was on at that point and got
Nice.
the opportunity to work on the script and work with the writer and work with him and
Nice.
put together that project down in Costa Rica. And awesome place to shoot for indie filmmakers if you can. It's really affordable. We made a really beautiful film down there, and so it was cool. Just a totally different culture, and really grateful, awesome people. Everybody wanted to be a part of it, and everybody was opening up their places and to shoot a movie. So it was a pretty neat experience.
That sounds like it, man. I
yeah.
mean, I just went to Cancun for the first time and enjoyed every bit of it.
Oh,
So like
man.
going to those countries down there, man.
Yeah.
It's so different.
Oh,
It's beautiful.
I tell everybody you should go to Costa Rica. It's pretty amazing.
Oh yeah. We might be going there pretty soon. So
Oh yeah, dude,
Yeah.
enjoy it. Let me know. Yeah, I'll let you know some good spots.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love Limon. It's a beautiful beach. That's
Nice.
just like this whole like vibe of, it's like just awesome kind of like reggae music that plays almost all day at different bars, and like the bars are right on the beach.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
trees
yes.
are right there too, which is
Yeah.
different than, you know what
Yeah,
I mean?
here,
Our beaches were
obviously.
just sand. Sand. You know what I mean?
Lots
Like
of
you park
sand.
and you gotta walk. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like they're like you go through a jungle. And you're like, I remember the first time I was like taking my wife, my wife's like, oh yeah, this is I've only known this woman, right? Like a few weeks, a few weeks, and FaceTime calls, and then I go down there, and she's like, oh yeah, we got to go like down this hill and through this trail, and I was like, oh my gosh, what's happening? And then you go through into this jungle, and then as soon as you come out and you're open, it's literally like
Beautiful.
30 feet to the water.
Yeah.
And it's just trees, and trees will even overhang and like give you a little shade, and you can hang underneath, and there's sand, and it's
Yeah.
a different experience. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I bet.
Yeah.
So from there, let me ask, what would you say your favorite project was?
Ooh, wow. That's a great question. I haven't even
It's hard to make you pick on that one, huh?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I would have to say that one of my favorite projects was working and shooting with a short film with a very funny guy. I don't know if you've heard of Jared Campbell. He's a comedian. He's with Yahoo Sports, commentator out here. He's a really funny dude. And him and Norman Towns, a really great actor, they wrote and they wanted to do this movie with his brother, Calais Campbell, who's Baltimore Ravens defensive lineman, and Larry Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
And it was this cool little comedy out in Arizona. And that was one of the more fun ones because I was super excited to obviously work with some players in the NFL. And also, it was a comedy, and it was a script I hadn't written.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. But that was a super fun project, just because we were at like a $30 million house for one of the locations that was just ridiculous. So that's a fun day of shooting. It was just a lot of fun, to kind of, and that was actually my first real step into a comedy.
Yeah.
I was doing dramas before.
Yeah.
So it was cool to shoot stuff that you were laughing about.
Right,
You know what I
right,
mean?
right,
that
right.
was and obviously that led
Energy
to
on
doing
set.
more comedies and then eventually comedy specials. So
That's good, man.
yeah.
So I have let me transition really quick. I have a lot of a lot of my friends, again, are on Facebook, right? So what I'll typically do every time, I think I need to just name this segment.
All right.
I'm gonna name it. I'll get to it another time. But um, basically, I'll ask a bunch of friends on Facebook a quick question about life or about whatever's going on, and then they'll give me a ton of answers, and we just kind of talk about it. So,
Okay.
yeah. So the question that I asked this time was, at what point should a person let their dreams go?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this is a deep one. But before you answer it, I'll just go ahead and run through a couple of these, and you let me know what you think about them. The first person, Ariel Humphrey, said, "Usually never, but the mature thing would be to let go when you realize your level of commitment is lacking to execute the reality of your dream. Sometimes dreams cause resentment in oneself if they are held too long." What do you think about that?
It's honest.
It is.
It's
very-
honest. It's honest, man. Here's the thing, and I'll comment on this, right, about dreams, right,
Yeah.
and big goals. The fact of the matter is, more than ever today, with the speed and the power of the internet,
Yeah.
you are completely responsible.
Yes.
Okay, and that is a heavy load, right? There's been a lot more excuses in the past
Yeah.
for people on how to make money
Uh-huh.
and how to build brands and everything that you can do today. So the trouble, lies is that it's a lot of hard work to be great
Yes.
in this
Indeed.
world, in this life. And I think great is right if you're doing what you love and you have more, not exceedingly ridiculous wealth,
Yeah.
just more than enough.
Yeah.
I mean that you literally have 30 to 40% extra, right, on life every year. You have the freedom and time to whatever, be a good parent, be in good relationships,
Yeah.
right? Peace of mind, and actually be physically healthy.
Yeah.
Huge ass God, I know. So, right? But that is fairly successful to the majority, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Especially to our country,
Yes.
right? Which would, in real money, is maybe like 100 to 180,000 per individual. That's pretty good if you don't got big addictions, shopping problems, right? Like
yeah.
you should be all right.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you don't have expensive taste, that's a fairly good living. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, but then, like I said, to comment on your question with the dreams, right? So that's a ton of work.
Yeah.
That's a ton of work to just make $150,000 to $250,000 a year. A successful director, what I want to be doing, would be a man making around $250,000 to $1 million a year.
Yeah.
An incredibly successful director makes that kind of money.
Yeah.
He's not the huge actor making $3 million, $5 million a movie.
Right.
It's not Robert Downey Jr. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there's very few Spielbergs. There's few Tarantinos. So being objective, hopefully having a successful movie here or there, so the whole kind of like thing is are you willing to work that hard
Yeah. And what does that mean?
to be great?
Yeah.
It's okay to just be good. It's okay to have a regular job, right?
Yeah.
Even like super regular job, like $20 to $25 an hour, right? And just doing it in and out. You like your company, you've got your benefits, whether it's hard work and it's laboring or it's right. You're a journeyman out there making $30, $35 and you're with a labor union, you're right. Or you've got a corporate job and you're making $35 an hour and whatnot. But those jobs are still hard work right there, let alone right to the $15 an hour jobs.
Yeah.
So but there's a lot of those jobs,
Yeah.
right, in the way that it runs.
Yeah.
But the entrepreneur, the small business owner who becomes a bigger business,
Yeah.
doing good capital, even if that's an entertainer, right, bringing in gross
Yeah.
of $300,000 to $500K a year, $1 million a year, or a small business.
Yeah.
Tons of work.
Completely.
Tons of work. So it's like they aren't giving great jobs and great paychecks to people who want to put in regular time.
That's true.
Right?
That's true. Yeah.
And that's the hard part about it with everything in comment to the question, I guess.
So let's get to maybe two more of them.
All right.
All right. And so one said, I don't even want, I'm going to do it anyway. It was a J. Cole quote. Even if you let them kill your dreams, they'll haunt you. That's in a song.
Okay.
So you don't have
Say
to
it again.
Even if you let them kill your dreams, they'll haunt you.
Completely. Regret.
Yeah.
Regret.
Yeah.
You gotta deal with anything that you're, anything that you're actually going after. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I heard a silly song from, I think it's the 70s or 80s maybe, Margaritaville by Jimmy Buffett. It's a silly song, right? And the at the end of the song he goes, some people say there's a woman to blame, and in the middle of the version he says, hell, it could be my fault. And the last line he goes, it's all my fault.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the wisdom through
Yeah.
a silly song,
Yeah.
right?
So you
That
blame
people
it in
are
the beginning.
right blaming in the
Starting to
beginning.
realize it.
Oh no, he actually starts to sing with the "It's nobody's fault," right?
Yeah.
Like, and then he goes and makes another excuse, all the way down to realizing and taking responsibility.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Wow.
geez, that's
Yeah.
the silliest song with the incredible allegory. Right?
It
That,
is.
that is the
Yeah.
brilliance
Yeah.
of that song. Why
Yeah.
it's still on the radio, why it's lived, why Jimmy Buffett got,
Yeah.
wild tours, the whole deal. But like, that's the simplest principle of the regret part is that you don't want to go through any of this. You're right. I mean, there are people, I envy them a little bit sometimes, that have regular jobs that don't have hardly any stress. They are honest, right? They're
Yeah.
real, they're genuine, and they are, you know what I'm saying? And they're completely content and happy.
Yeah. I know some.
And that is a different path.
Yeah.
And not everybody has to.
Has to choose the same. Yeah. We can all go in different directions.
Yes. And
be
they
happy.
they look forward to whatever their shows, their hobbies. They got their gig. They maybe have a kid or two, and
They
that's
love what we produce. They enjoy and consume what we produce.
Yep.
Yeah, that happens. It happens. That was from William Murray. Thanks, Will. Brother of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated.
This is great. So these are people who like are on your page.
Yeah, my page. So
Oh
they come.
man, look at this.
So here's one more from a guy that I completely respect, deeply respect.
Right.
The brother's name is Malik Perkins. He says, your dreams can evolve on your terms, but that's very different from giving up. In college, I dreamed of being a news anchor. Almost 3 years ago, I can say leaving was one of the best decisions I've ever made. Learn from every experience and grow. Thoughts?
110%.
Yeah.
I've literally met like doctors who were like, nah, I'm going to go do this. You know what I mean? Like you people have to ultimately, we get into different things, relationships, right? Career choices, interests, and they go and they drive into, you know what I mean? Like certain things that take you down. But at any moment, you know what I mean? Like you ultimately can do something. I know an incredible comedian who literally works with Bill Burr and Mark Maron, did music, did all right, and then decided to do comedy at 43. Left turn, open mics, the whole deal at 43. He's 55. He tours.
Nice.
Headlines, Comedy Store regular. Awesome. But that's a guy that literally was doing, from open mics and whatever, shows all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. So I don't know. I think that's where, but what about you? I'm interested in your take.
For me, at what point do you give up on your dreams? That's I wouldn't.
Yeah.
And I'm too headstrong, I guess. Maybe too passionate at the same time. To give up on the dream, I just feel like the solution is just work harder.
Find it. Find it in yourself.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, because if you know that it really brings you that joy.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you can incorporate different things. Like for me, I got a degree in business. You see what I'm doing in entertainment. I'm trying to build on the business side as well, but I have a great lane to create as well. So like as far as writing and everything that I want to do, I'm still doing it. I'm still able to do it, and I'm also able to create lucrative means as well. But I think overall, I don't think I'll ever let go of my dreams. Because I'm passionate about it.
So it'll be some form of like producing or storytelling,
Definitely.
right?
Yes, for the rest of my
all
life.
Of it. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I'll hold you to it.
Yeah,
All
like
right?
Clint Eastwood.
Yes, you can do the same thing to me. We'll
do.
hold each other accountable. All right.
We'll do. Will do. So go ahead and give them, maybe your website, your tags, really quick.
Oh yeah, it's just at Kurt Kubicek. Is most of my stuff www.kurtkubicek. I am the only guy I think in entertainment, or in the country. Thank God.
Spell with a K.
Yep, KurtKubicek. So, yeah, and you can ultimately find. I have several projects or films on different platforms, from Amazon Prime to iTunes and different things. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
You can just Google this guy.
yeah, you'll be able to find kind of everything. So,
Yeah.
but no, man, dude, this has been really cool.
Oh,
So,
it's
like, come
been
on,
great.
it's great. Like, you got
It's
a
been great.
really cool thing going on. I'm proud of
Thanks.
you,
Thank you,
dude.
man.
It's very, very exciting. I hope like we can like revisit this because you're going to
Yeah.
continue to do this.
Oh,
so I'll like
definitely.
be back after
yeah,
my next
no,
big project,
dude,
like 6 to 12
Let
months.
me know when.
And I'll be like, man, he just kept going.
Yeah.
He just kept making it and kept producing
Hey,
it. And
man.
that's consistency, bro.
Yes, sir.
That is the
What-
biggest key, man, for
Yeah.
all my friends who are absolutely successful
Indeed.
financially, and they're entertaining people and they're doing this is literally every day. Just 3 to 6 hours for
Yeah.
a lot of them.
Yeah.
But it was 5-6 days a week. And
It
that's
is.
it. That's
Yeah, it
hard
is.
for people to really grind down and do it.
But
and,
it can be done.
and then year after year, you get better and smarter and sharper, and
You grow in
more-
so many ways.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you already got the little bit of the following that's only going to grow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Indeed. Looking forward to all
Yeah,
of this,
man.
Looking forward to having you back too, man.
yes, absolutely.
Overall, grateful. Thank you for coming, man.
Yeah, thank
And
you.
I
Man.
appreciate you being in my network.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I appreciate it.